Well, I'm thrilled to be on line with heroic members of the United States military, incredible people. I want to wish you all a very happy Thanksgiving. We're going to have a great year. We have a year coming up. The foundations are ready for one of the best years we've ever had. We have with us 6 units deployed all across the world, representing every branch of the armed forces. Many of you are very far from home, but today we hope you know that millions of American families are praying in gratitude for the sacrifices you make and the incredible, absolutely incredible job you do. As president, I want to personally express my profound thanks to each and every one of you for your devoted service to our nation. Our nation is doing very well. It's the highest honor of my life to serve as your commander-in-chief. Representing the Army today, I want to recognize Lieutenant Colonel Timothy Redhair and the United States Army 36th Infantry Division. Tremendous people. From your base in Kuwait, you support our fight against radical Islamic terrorism and help combat Iranian aggression. We salute you. Thank you very much. And you'll say perhaps a few words in a little while. We appreciate it very much, Timothy. From the Marines, we have Special Purpose Marine Air Ground Task Force based in Kuwait, which conducts crisis response throughout the Middle East. Colonel Andrew Pridey, your warriors bring the fight straight to the enemy so that American families can sleep soundly at home. We've been building up our military. We spent $2.5 trillion in the last 3.5 years. And we've never had anything like it in terms of equipment and all of the elements that we put together. The Space Force we're very proud of, brand new. Nobody thought that could happen. So we spent $2.5 trillion, all new tanks and missiles and rockets, and everything is tippy-top. Nobody thought we could ever get there. We've done it quickly. Most of the equipment is there. Much of it is there. Most of it's coming. The rest of it's coming in over the next, I would say, 6 months to 12 months. All made in the USA, which is very good. But every American owes you a debt of thanks, and we appreciate it. Also with us are men and women of the U.S. Navy aboard the USS Winston Churchill. It's a beauty. Led by Commander Timothy Kayleigh. You're deployed in the Red Sea, where you deter terrorists, defend freedom of navigation, and escort ships through the Strait of Hormuz. Your magnificent ship is a powerful symbol of peace through strength. And that's what we have now, is peace through strength. You look at what's going on. No wars. They're saying, wow, the president, 4 years, no wars. We stopped the wars, and we won, as you know, 100% of the ISIS caliphate in Syria, Iraq. We've done a job. Welcome as well to everyone at Ali Al Salam Air Base in Kuwait, including Major Tommy Rutherford and the 386th Expeditionary Logistics Readiness Squadron. Thank you very much, Tommy. Your mission: support our soldiers on the ground and deliver precious cargo where it needs to go, including transporting 18 tons of medical equipment during the China virus pandemic. Keep up the outstanding work. Great job you've done. I hear all about it. It's amazing work you do. From the United States Space, and this is a very important thing to me, the Space Force, because it's 75 years since the Air Force. This is the first one, new branch. The United States Space Force, we're joined by Lieutenant Colonel Matthew Lohmeyer and the 11th Space Warning Squadron. That sounds great. At Buckley Air Force Base in Colorado. You keep watch around the world to detect missile launches, space launches, and nuclear detonations while providing critical intelligence. All of you are pioneers in the newest branch of our armed forces. And again, it's very special to me, that new branch, because that was something that I felt was necessary. And I never said it during a campaign. I said it after I became president. I saw what was happening with China and Russia and others. And it's really something, so we're very proud of it. Finally, we have with us members of the U.S. Coast Guard, Port Security Unit 308 under Captain General Rocco. You're joined with us from Guantanamo Bay, where you secure our coastal waters, combat drug traffickers, escort vessels, and protect our forces in the region. On American shores and beyond, the Coast Guard has always made America proud. I want to tell you, I was here 2 years ago in Texas. You saved thousands and thousands of people. That was incredible, the job the Coast Guard has done. And now we have all new ships coming to the Coast Guard. You had old ships, and they were as good as they could be, but they were very old. And now you have brand new Coast Guard ships, and it's my honor to have gotten them for you. Today I send you the love, gratitude, respect, and prayers of our entire nation. Once again, I wish you a very happy Thanksgiving. You're doing an incredible job, and your country is doing well. We just set a record in the stock market, over 30,000 in the Dow Jones Industrial Average. Over 30,000, think of that. Nobody ever thought we were going to hit that. During a pandemic, the whole world is suffering this tremendous pandemic, not just us, the world. And you wouldn't know that to listen to the news reports, but the whole world is suffering, and we are rounding the curve. The vaccines are being delivered literally. It'll start next week and the week after, and it'll hit the frontline workers and seniors and doctors, nurses, a lot of people going to start, and we're going very quickly. 2 companies already announced, a 3rd one coming up, and a 4th and 5th one coming up soon also. So it's some people have called it really a miracle. It could have taken 4 or 5 years to do this. Normally it probably would have taken 4 or 5 years, just getting it through the FDA. We pushed it very hard. But I want to thank you all. I want to wish you a happy Thanksgiving. And let's, maybe if we could start, anybody would like to raise their hand, go ahead. We'll start with you.
Sir, good evening, Mr. President. On behalf of Task Force Spartan, 36th Infantry Division Command Team, Major General Pat Hamilton, Command Sergeant Major Jim Horn, I'd like to take this opportunity to say thank you for speaking with all of us, and happy Thanksgiving to you and yours as well.
Thank you much.
If you mind, I'd like to go ahead, sir.
Yes, go ahead, please.
I was just going to take a couple minutes out to introduce some of the folks sitting around me that are here in Kayleigh. Specialist Green to my right, she's from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. PFC head directly behind me is from Seguin, Texas. Again, one of the most important people as a battalion commander is my Command Sergeant Major Daniel Castro directly behind me. And then I've got Specialist Carr and Specialist Jimenez, and these soldiers do an outstanding job, sir.
That's fantastic. And how is Kuwait doing?
It's doing well, sir. It's doing quite well. We just recently got here. We're looking forward to continuing our mission.
That's great. Doing a fantastic job, and we appreciate it. And thank you very much, Colonel. Tremendous to be with you. Happy Thanksgiving. Say hello and a happy Thanksgiving to everybody. And we'll see you soon. Thank you for the job you do. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Colonel, go ahead, please. Marine Corps. Thank you. Andrew, go ahead, please, if you're ready. Does he hear me? Maybe not. Oh, there he is. Is that Andrew? Marine Corps?
Good afternoon, Mr. President. Happy Thanksgiving. As you said, Special Purpose Marine Air Ground Task Force deployed here from, I've been here since May, and we deployed in February. We have Marines in 9 countries. Obviously, area responsibility here at CENTCOM, and it's truly an honor to serve. And I really want to take a quick moment to recognize Sergeant Romero Vasquez, who's sitting to my left. He's from Los Angeles, California, and a great Marine serving here in the MAGTF.
Sergeant, go ahead, please.
Thank you. It's an honor to meet you, Mr. President. Just talking to you in person, it's a really great honor, and it's a great place here in Kuwait. You know, I love what I do. I love serving my country.
Thank you very much. Great job. We appreciate it very much. Well, thank you very much, and good luck with everything. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody, please. Thank you. Thank you very much. The Navy. Tim, go ahead.
Hey, good evening, Mr. President. This is Commander Tim Shanley, CO of the USS Winston S. Churchill, currently patrolling the waters of the Middle East. On behalf of the 352 sailors that are assigned to our ship, I'd like to wish you a happy Thanksgiving, sir. We've been underway since this, we deployed earlier this summer, and we got underway. We've traveled over 30,000 miles so far through the Atlantic, the Mediterranean, Red Sea, all the way to the Arabian Gulf and back. So we've sustained some solid operations out here, conducting escort operations, overwatch, counter piracy, counter illicit trafficking. And one of the things I wanted to highlight, sir, was the visit board search and seizure team that's right behind me. We got Lieutenant J.G. Harris, OS2 Robinson, GM2 Larkin, GM2 Cyprian, GM2 Menina, ICC Cordell, and we have RS3 Coleman. Directly to my right is my executive officer, Commander Brian Anthony, and to my left is Command Master Chief Juan Navarro. It's our honor to be on this VTC, sir. I wish you a happy Thanksgiving, and it's great to be here, sir.
Well, I want to thank you very much. Is that the engines I hear behind you? That sounds like a powerful group. It sounds like waves crashing into the ship, but it's a beautiful sound. That's a beautiful sound. Are you enjoying what you're doing, Tim?
Absolutely. Yes, sir, Mr. President. It's so fulfilling being out here. I have, people say other things are America's team, but I am in command of America's team out here, sir.
Yeah, it's great. And your equipment is getting newer and newer, better and better. We're building a lot of ships right now, as you know. And you'll have them very soon. And I just want to congratulate you, everybody, but I want to congratulate you. Great job with the Navy. We appreciate it very much, Tim. Thank you. So the Air Force. We'll do the Air Force, please. Please. Tommy.
All right. Good afternoon, Mr. President. It's truly an honor to be this afternoon. I was glad to hear you knew so much about our unit, so I won't talk too much about us. But I will tell you that also in this room today, we were able to invite one of our sister units here, which is the 386 Expeditionary Security Forces. So we got some folks here that represent 240 defenders here on the ground that protect 100 joint coalition and contractor personnel here in Kuwait. Also super proud to be able to obviously represent American interests out here, and super excited to talk to you today as well. Two folks I wanted to highlight who could not be here with us today. These two units lost individuals during this rotation, which was Sergeant Ouellette and Senior Airman Fan. Great Americans, one from each of the units that's represented here, and your conversation with us is a great morale boost, so much appreciated for you doing that, sir.
Well, I appreciate it. I love doing it, actually, and I'm very proud of it because we've spent so much. When we took over, our military was very depleted. You know that very well. You know it probably better than most with the Air Force because the planes were old, they were tired, and now you have all brand new F-35s coming and others. And your tankers, your bombers, the whole thing, they're all coming. Hopefully we never have to use it for war, but we're better prepared than we ever have been. When I came in 4 years ago, hard to believe, almost 4 years ago, we were in sad shape, and now we're in phenomenal shape. Have you seen the difference in the equipment over the last couple of years?
Absolutely, sir. Definitely.
Yeah. We went from old planes to brand new planes, from planes that were very visible to stealth, where you can't see them. Stealth helps. Do you agree with that?
Yes, sir. If you can't see it, you can't hear it.
It's very, I don't know much about what you do, but I know if you can't see it, I like it better. Anyway, thank you very much. And Tommy, thank you for doing a great job. We appreciate it very much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
So now we're going to a special place in my heart, Space Force, because nobody even thought about Space Force. And I looked at it and I said, I said, we're going to have to come up, we're going to have to do something, because I looked at what China was doing and Russia was doing, and others are thinking about doing. And I want to just thank you very much. Is Matt there? Matt?
Mr. President, good afternoon and happy Thanksgiving. This is Lieutenant Colonel Matt Lohmeyer, Commander of the 11th Space Warning Squadron. You can't see everyone in the room, but we've got a number of others here. Grateful for the opportunity to wish you and the First Lady a happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you.
And also want to thank you. You've already said what we do, which is provide strategic and theater missile warning for the nation and our allies, but want to thank you personally for your advocacy for an independent Space Force so that that could become a reality while we serve. We're very grateful for that. We're making great progress that I don't think we were able to necessarily make while we belonged to the Air Force. But having our own independent service we've made great progress already in the first year. So thank you for your advocacy for that. And on behalf of all of the missile warning operators here at the 11th Space Warning Squadron, we say happy Thanksgiving.
That's good. Thank you very much, and you too. And I know the coordination with you and Air Force has been stellar. You're getting along great, and you're doing well together. And it really does work well together, but I thought that you should have separate. And as years go by and as decades go by, people will see the importance of Space Force. There's no question about it. So thank you very much. I appreciate it. And Coast Guard, please.
Good afternoon, Mr. President. I just want to thank you and the First Lady, your entire family, happy Thanksgiving. I hope you're able to spend some quality time with them today and enjoy one another's company. I just want to highlight a situation we went through during our pre-deployment workups in Mississippi, where we experienced a little outbreak of the coronavirus right around the 4th of July timeframe. You know, we had a healthy respect for the virus and how it could affect our ability to train and meet our operational commitments. But as a unit, we had a greater confidence in the patriotism and professionalism of the wardroom, chief's mess, and crew of PSU 308 right behind me, sir. We were steadfast in our resolve to meet our operational commitments and relieve our sister unit on time and as scheduled, sir. We did not back down, but rather we did not let fear or uncertainty dictate our actions. Mr. President, the men and women of PSU 308 are proud and honored to stand and watch this Thanksgiving in defense of our freedoms. From our unit, I want to wish you and the rest of the Trump family a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, safe and prosperous New Year. Keep hitting them straight on the golf course, Mr. President, and Semper Bronx.
Straight and long. That's right. Thank you very much. That's great. That's really great. What, you a golfer? Do you play golf? You love it, right? That's good. It's pretty good. Thank you very much. The only form of exercise. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And really, everybody, just congratulations. And, you know, I have to say, on the Army, we just made a tremendous purchase of equipment, as you know. I think Tim probably saw that, and you have a lot of equipment coming into the Army. In particular, we really went for top of the line, Tim. I guess you saw that, and you see it pouring in, and that's good. So it's an honor. We want to thank you very much, Tim. And thank you. I will say this, the Coast Guard, nothing and no stock has gone up higher than Coast Guard, the stock in the Coast Guard, the reputation of the Coast Guard, the job you've done on the hurricanes. And I think people didn't appreciate it as much as they do now, I can tell you that. It's gone very high. What you've done in Texas and in Florida in particular, in Puerto Rico, the job you did in Puerto Rico, and you go out there in those monster waves that are dangerous as can be, even with the new boats and the new ships. Then nothing's meant for the kind of waves we saw, especially in Texas. And you went out there and you did your job and you saved thousands of lives, as I said. And I'm very proud of the Coast Guard. So I want to really call it out. Thank you very much. Very proud of you. Thank you. Thank you all. Have a great Thanksgiving. And don't eat too much turkey. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thanksgiving.
Mr. President, do you have any big plans for your last Thanksgiving at the White House?
Well, we don't know what is last. If you look at what's going on, you have to really take a look at what's going on. They're finding tremendous discrepancies in the votes, and nobody believes those numbers. Those numbers are incorrect numbers. A lot of numbers have already been reported. You're going to see things happening over the next week or two that are going to be shocking to people. If you look at the numbers in Michigan, if you look at the numbers in Pennsylvania, if you look at fraudulent voting and fraudulent votes. So I can't say what's first and what's last in terms of, is this the last one, or is this the first one of a second term? We'll see what happens. Nobody wants to see the kind of fraud that this election has really come to represent. We are looking at things that are so bad in Georgia. They don't want to show us signatures. The reason they don't want to show us signatures is very simple, because we will find thousands and thousands. It's a very close race. It's hair thin. But we'll find thousands and thousands of discrepancies, fraud. Why they aren't wanting to show those signatures is amazing. They're doing recounts, and even in the recount, they found thousands of votes that were off. But now we want to look at the signatures, and you will find tens of thousands of false ballots, forged ballots. You'll see it all over. You're going to see a lot of it. And you go to Pennsylvania. You saw the meeting we had yesterday with Pennsylvania. You saw people come up, they went to vote, and they said, no, you can't vote. Somebody else already sent in a ballot, and a woman. But this is happening tens of thousands of times. I think it was 600 and some odd thousand, 687,000 fraudulent votes cast in Pennsylvania. And I will tell you, if you look at the State House now, the Republican State House, they're starting to see what's going on there. But they've really known it for a long time. Then you go to Michigan, and you look at what happened in Wayne County in Detroit. I went through a list. I won almost every county, and you see it, almost every, by 78%, 72%, 68%, going through the list. Then you get to Wayne, and something happened. Tremendous numbers. You saw the canvassers. They refused to sign their document because they said, we can't sign a fraudulent document. Horrible things went on. That's in Wayne County, Detroit. But you look at the votes that were just tabulated, and they were left today. Look at all the counties. I won almost all of them, except Detroit was so egregious. It was phony. Look at what's going on in Wisconsin. Wisconsin, they're finding tremendous discrepancy. You just take a look at that. Tremendous discrepancy. And elsewhere. So we're going to see what happens. But you can't have somebody assume office and already they want to get rid of America first. I mean, they want to get rid of America first. They don't want America first. You know why? Because China doesn't want it. China expressed their wish, please get rid of America first. And the Biden administration said, oh, that's okay, we'll get rid of America first. No, we don't want to get rid of America first. We want to put America first. And other countries should put themselves first, too, and I tell them that all the time. But we don't want to get rid of it. So I don't know what is going to happen. I know one thing, Joe Biden did not get 80 million votes. And I got 74 million, but there were many ballots thrown away, so I got much more than that. But I got 74 million. 74 million is 11 million more than I got last time. It's millions more than Ronald Reagan got when he won all. He won 49 states, I guess. He won 49 states, yes. And it's millions more than Hillary Clinton got. Joe Biden did not get, and by the way, Joe Biden did not beat Barack Obama with the black vote. Didn't beat him, okay? But they have him as beating him. And if you look at the numbers are false. The numbers are corrupt. It was a rigged election, 100%. And people know it. That's why you have people marching all over the United States right now. They know it was a rigged election. And look at what's happening in Georgia. A lot of things are being found in Georgia. And they are absolutely against showing, I mean, it's a sad thing. They don't want to show signatures. It can be solved if you show signatures. But you're going to find out the people that signed aren't the people that are supposed to be signing. You're going to find that the people that signed those envelopes, they didn't do the ballots, envelopes. And then somebody said maybe the envelopes were thrown out. There's tremendous fraud here. If you look at, wait just one second, if you look at 10 o'clock in the evening, you saw what happened. Then you had these massive dumps. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. You have Dominion, which is very, very suspect to start off with. Nobody knows the ownership. People say the votes are counted in foreign countries. No, and much worse than that, by the way, with Dominion. So, you know, Dominion is also partially based in Canada, but it's based in other countries too. And nobody knows where the votes, but you know, Canada refuses to use Dominion. Canada uses paper ballots. So think of it, they're based in Canada, and Canada refuses to use them. They're smart. They use paper ballots because paper ballots are the only thing, frankly, the only thing that really you're going to get an accurate tab on, because those machines are fixed, they're rigged. You can press Trump and the vote goes to Biden. All you have to do is play with a chip. And it's down, it's shown all the time. All you have to do is play with a chip. And they played with a chip, especially in Wayne County, in Detroit. You take a look. In Philadelphia, you take a look. We've had excellent meetings with senators from Pennsylvania, Republican senators and others. And they're seeing things, they knew it was dishonest, but they didn't know it was this dishonest. No, and you'll see it all. You'll see it all. So we'll see. Speaking of Georgia, I'll be going there.
When?
I spoke with the two great senators. They're great senators, Kayleigh and David. I'll probably be going on Saturday. We're looking for a site. We're going to have a tremendous turnout, and we seem to always have a good turnout. The people are very disappointed that we were robbed. We were robbed. I won that by hundreds of thousands of votes. Everybody knows it. You go down the streets, there are Trump-Pence signs all over the place, and we won that by hundreds of thousands, Georgia. So they're disappointed. I don't want them to be disappointed. That'll solve itself. We're finding the votes. Once we get to the signatures, we'll take over 100%. Once we get to signature 100%, we will take over Georgia, and we will get Georgia. But they have to show us the signatures. Stacey Abrams pulled the wool over the Secretary of State. I don't know who he is, but the Secretary of State.
He said he donated to you.
It doesn't matter. I mean, you know, he says that too, but I don't know him. I never met him. I have no idea who he is. All I know is that's the ultimate. You know, I donated to Trump. I respect Trump. I love Trump. I think Trump is great. By the way, we're giving nothing. This guy got played like I've never seen anybody played. Tell him if he donated to Trump, if he likes Trump, let us see the signatures. Why is he not letting us see? There's only one reason you can't see the signatures. That's because there's fraud all over the place. And even without looking at signatures, as you know, we found thousands of wrong votes. And by the way, always against me. It was not like 50-50. It was always against me. The other thing, take a look at Michigan. Take a look at what they did with respect to counties. Every county, 78%, 72%, 76%, 59%, the whole thing, one after another after another. And then you get to Detroit, and it's like more votes than people. Dead people voting all over the place. But anyway, going back to Georgia just for a second. So I'll be going there on Saturday night, and maybe I'll go twice. It's very important that we win those races. These are two great people. I know them both very well. They're both great people, and I think the two people, you know, I beat the one gentleman. He ran against a congressional candidate who was an excellent person, frankly, and he didn't even live in the right community, and that's how we won. So now I have to beat him again. He lost as a congressman. He was going for Congress, as you remember, and now against Karen, and now he's running against David. He doesn't deserve to be there. He's a lightweight. And the other one is either a communist or a socialist. I can't figure that one out yet. But he's either a communist or a socialist, probably a communist. This is not for Georgia. And I just want to tell my people, don't be disappointed yet, because this race is far from over. But I'm going on Saturday night. I'll be in Georgia. We're going to have a tremendous crowd. They're looking for the right site. Probably we'd love to take one of the big stadiums, but you can't because of the COVID. So we'll have an outdoor form of probably an airport. Most likely it's an airport. They're looking for the biggest space. And we'll have, you know, tens of thousands of people show up. But I think it's very important. And then I may go a second time, depending on how they're doing. I may go a second time. But they're two really good people.
Mr.
Yeah.
President,
Yeah, please go ahead.
Mr. President, if the Electoral College votes for Joe Biden on December 14th, will you concede the election?
It's going to be a very hard thing to concede, because we know there was massive fraud. So as to whether or not I can get this apparatus moving this quickly, because time isn't on our side. Everything else is on our side. Facts are on our side. This was a massive fraud. This should never take place in this country. We're like a third world country. We have machines that nobody knows what the hell they're looking at. I mean, you take a look at all the mistakes they made. Look at even Georgia. Look at all the mistakes they made. And all that was is a simple, you press a button. Look at Georgia, all the votes they found just by going, and I said they shouldn't even do it because it doesn't mean anything. They're doing a recount right now in Georgia that is meaningless. The only recount that matters in Georgia is to look at the signatures on the envelope, and you will find that those signatures do not match the people that were, many of them, hundreds of thousands of them, hundreds of thousands, and I only lost by 12,000 votes. I didn't lose. I didn't even like to say I lose. I only, I guess we're 11 or 12,000 votes short. That's out of millions and millions of votes. They just got it over the line. And one of the things that happened, I did so well, and I was told this in 2 other states, that they didn't know what to do. They panicked. Take a look at their drops at 3 o'clock and 3:42 in the morning on certain states. They did drops where you're going along like this, and then you have a spike that goes up to the ceiling and down. It's disgraceful. We can't let that happen. And I will tell you, in Philadelphia, the Republicans, that State House Republicans, are very, very upset. And it's sort of appropriate because Philadelphia has become very activist. If you look at what's going on, they don't want that to happen to Pennsylvania, to the state of Pennsylvania. And it was, I don't even like to use, it was a rigged election.
But sir, just to be clear, if the Electoral College votes for Joe Biden, will you concede?
Well, if they do, they made a mistake because this election was a fraud. Just so you understand, this election was a fraud. I mean, they have Biden beating Obama on Obama's vote in areas that mattered in terms of the election, in swing states. And yet he's losing to Obama all over the place. But he's beating Obama in swing states, which are the states that mattered for purposes of the election. So, no, I can't say that at all. I think it's a possibility. They're trying to, look, between you people, don't talk to me that way. You're just a lightweight. Don't talk to me that way. Don't talk to, I'm the president of the United States. Don't ever talk to the president that way. All right, I'm going to go with another question. Go ahead.
So if the Electoral College does elect President-elect Joe Biden, are you not going to leave this building?
Just so you, certainly I will. Certainly I will. And you know that. But I think that there will be a lot of things happening between now and the 20th of January. A lot of things. Massive fraud has been found. We're like a third world country. We're using computer equipment that can be hacked. They talk about glitches. How many glitches did they find? So a glitch, oh gee, we had a glitch, 5,000 votes. In all cases, right? In all cases, the votes went from Trump to Biden. They didn't go from Biden. The glitches were never from Biden to Trump. So they had many glitches. And they said, oh, we had a glitch. A glitch is like the equipment is a little broken, we'll fix it up. No, a glitch is, in this case, we caught them cheating. We caught them stealing. We caught a fraudulent effort to get votes. And they said, oh, yes, it's true, there was, and there were many of them. But here's the problem. There were probably 10, 20, 30 times that didn't get caught. We just got lucky and caught numerous of them. But what that is very simple. If you look at the glitch means, right? It means, oh, we got caught with the votes. And now, let's just call it a glitch. It wasn't the machinery. And by the way, the machinery, if you look, just take a look anywhere on the internet, you will see many, many people where they're experimenting with this stupid machinery, where if you set it a certain way, the votes go from Trump to Biden. If you look at these counties, if you look at Arizona, where I was going to win very easily, I've had the biggest politicians in Arizona say there was no way you lost Arizona. There's no way I lost Pennsylvania with his anti-fuel and with his anti-fracking and all of the things that they stand against. There was no way. Now, Texas, you all said that I was going to lose Texas by a lot, 4 points. I won Texas by 8 or 9 points, right? I won it very easily. In Wisconsin, you all said I was going to lose, or the polls said, certain polls, Washington Post, ABC, said I was going to lose by 17 points. Think of how dishonest. I thought I was going to win it, and essentially I did win it. It's very, very close. It's very, very close. So we're going to win because they found, by the way, in Wisconsin, they have found massive discrepancy. Just so you understand, massive discrepancy. But they said I was going to lose by 17 points, and I won the state, okay? But it's very close. It shows very close. Whether you say win or lose, it shows very close. But when you look at the massive discrepancy that we'll be revealing, that's already been revealed. Everybody knows it. They just don't want to play it. Between big tech and the fake news media, you just put out like this little railroad trade. Now, I think it's not right that he's trying to pick a cabinet, but I can't imagine whether it's courts or legislatures, if you're going to catch hundreds of thousands of false ballots, and I'm talking in each state. And just so you understand, many, many more votes that we're talking about that we need. You understand? I'm not saying we caught 23 dead people, but we were short 20,000 votes. No, no. We have tens of thousands votes more than we need in all cases, okay? In all cases. So I think you're going to see something. I mean, I think it's going to be a very big story. Yeah, please.
Yes, Mr. President.
It's going to be not only a big story, it's the most important story of our time. Yes.
Yes, Mr. President. If Joe Biden takes over the White House on January 21st, will you announce a candidacy for 2024?
Well, no, I don't want to talk about 2024 yet.
Will you
because this is far from being. Look. I and the people that work on this are very professional, and all of this stuff is coming. A lot of it came out. If you look at the Philadelphia meeting, if you look at the Pennsylvania meeting yesterday, a lot of it came out. This has a long way to go. This has a long way to go. You're going to find tremendous fraud. You're going to find fraud of hundreds of thousands of votes per state. You're going to find fraud of many, many times the votes that I need. Again, we're not talking about less votes where, 20 votes, but it doesn't turn the election. No, we're talking about thousands and thousands of votes beyond what we need to turn a state. When you see that, I think it's very hard even for the media to say that, Biden should win the state. And there's no way that Biden got 80 million votes. By the way, the only way he got 80 million votes is through a massive fraud. There's no way that he got 80 million votes.
Can you give us a timeline on when you're going to present this evidence of voter fraud you talked about?
Well, it's happening now. I mean, we're in courts. We're in courts, but we're also in front of legislatures, and we're doing very well in front of the states.
Why not present it now?
Mr. President, if you don't think that the presidential election was legitimate, and if you think that it was stolen, what confidence do you expect voters in Georgia to have when they go to the polls to vote for, say, Loeffler or Perdue?
Well, I told them today, I think you're dealing in a very fraudulent system. I think I'm very worried about that. They are tremendous people. Kelly Loeffler, David Perdue are tremendous people. They should be in the United States Senate. They're desperately needed. But I told them today, I said, listen, you have a fraudulent system. You have a system where the flick of a switch or the putting in of a new chip can change the course of history. And you have to be very careful. I read this morning where Stacey Abrams has 850,000 ballots accumulated. Now that's called harvesting. You're not allowed to harvest, but I understand the Secretary of State, who is really, he's an enemy of the people. The Secretary of State, and whether he's Republican or not, this man, what he's done, supposedly he made a deal, and you'll have to check this, where she's allowed to harvest, but in other areas, they're not allowed. What kind of a deal is that? They're not allowed to harvest during the presidential. But how can she say she has 850,000 ballots? That would mean that she's got 850,000 ballots for her. That's not supposed to be happening. That's not an election. An election should be a one-day deal. You walk in and you vote. And if you can't do it, if for some reason you're not feeling well or there's a problem, but what they did is they used COVID in order to defraud the people of this country. And the whole world is watching, and the whole world is laughing at our electoral process. The whole world is watching, and it's a very sad thing, very sad thing. And you know what? I've done a lot of things. You just saw Space Force, and you've seen the tax cuts and the regulation cuts and the way we've taken care of the vets and what we've done with Anwar and Alaska and all the different things we've done, more than just about anybody's done, and even though it's 4 years. There are those that say what I'm doing right now is the single most important thing I've ever done. And I think it may be true. It may be true. The vaccines, and by the way, don't let Joe Biden take credit for the vaccines. If Joe Biden, Joe Biden failed with the swine flu, H1N1, totally failed with the swine flu. Don't let him take credit for for the vaccines, because the vaccines were me, and I pushed people harder than they've ever been pushed before. And we got that approved and through, and nobody's ever seen anything like it. And you got a big resistance in the FDA from years and years of people working there, for years and years, different administrations. But the vaccines there are those that say it's one of the greatest things. It's a medical miracle. Don't let anyone try and take credit for it. But with all of the things I've done, this could be the most important, because there's been voter fraud going on, but never at this scale. Tens of millions of ballots have been sent out to people that didn't even want them. Many people, and I know you've heard, many people have received 2, 3, and 4 ballots. And many people have taken those 2, 3, and 4 ballots and they voted them. This election was a fraud. It was a rigged election. I mean, I hate to say it, but this was a rigged, at the highest level, it was a rigged election. So we have to figure it out. And yes, I think it's very dangerous for the 2 people that are running against 2 totally unqualified people. And I think it's very dangerous for our nation. And I'll go a step further. I said today, other than the fact that you have all of the eyes and ears, but the media doesn't cover it properly, because the media would, if they saw something wrong, I'm convinced the media would not report it, because you have many things that you know are wrong and you don't report. But if the media was honest in this country, which for the most part they're not, this would never have happened. This has taken place. This fraud has taken place. If the media were honest, this would never, ever have happened. But you have a big election coming up. You have a woman or somebody announced 850,000 absentee ballots have already been collected. 850. And I told David Perdue today, and I told Kayleigh yesterday, I said, they're talking about having collected already 800,000 ballots against you. You can't do that. You can't do that. What kind of a race is that? You can't allow that to happen. And I'm serious, if the media were honest and if big tech were honest, which it's totally not, it's a terrible thing. That whole Section 230 is a disgrace that they even have it. But big tech is totally dishonest. If the media were honest and big tech was fair, this wouldn't even be a contest. And I would have won by a tremendous amount. And I did win by a tremendous amount, but it hasn't been reported yet. But people understand what's happened. They know what happened. Yes, please go ahead.
Of course, it is tradition.
Say it.
You know that it's tradition for previous presidents to go to the next president's inauguration. So will you attend?
I don't want to say that yet. I mean, I know the answer. I'll be honest, I know the answer, but I just don't want to say it yet. Look, a thing like this possibly has never happened before, but maybe people just didn't catch it. But we've caught it. We've caught hundreds of thousands of votes. Listen, excuse me. When they don't allow a poll watcher, which is a sacred person in our country, people don't know what a poll watcher is. A poll watcher it's considered sacred in our country. When they throw them out of rooms.
But that's not true. They didn't do that.
Sure it is. And when they put them in pens. Your attorneys admitted. Excuse me. No, they didn't. My attorneys did not admit anything. And it's all different places. But where they throw them out of counting rooms, where they put them in what's called pens, and they're 20, 30, 40 feet away, and in some cases 200 feet away. When things like that happen, when a woman walks in on November 3rd to vote, a proud woman, and this is by the thousands, tens of thousands, and she said, I'm here to vote. And they said, you've already voted, ma'am, I'm sorry. No, I didn't vote. I wanted to vote on November 3rd. I want to cast my vote in person. I'm sorry, ma'am, you've already voted. You voted by ballot. And then they leave. This is a horrible thing. And we have tens of thousands of that happening. This is a horrible thing. They gave Biden a lot of votes that he would never have gotten. This is not a candidate that could get 80 million votes. This is just not a candidate. This is not a candidate that beat Barack Hussein Obama with the black voter, okay? This is not a candidate that beat Obama with the black voter. This is not a candidate that beat Hillary Clinton to a pulp. It just doesn't work that way. But when you look at the number, when you look at the data, and when you look at the things we have affidavits from hundreds and hundreds of people. This election was a rigged election. Thank you very much, everybody.
Good afternoon, everyone. The United States Constitution matters even during a pandemic. While Democrat politicians seek to impose draconian restrictions against their citizens, this past week, the Supreme Court of the United States had their say on New York State's capacity restrictions, which restricted the number of attendees allowed in places of worship, but not other government-deemed essential businesses. Justice Gorsuch in the ruling said this as he rolled back Governor Cuomo's restrictions on places of worship. He said, quote, "It is time, past time, to make plain that while the pandemic poses many grave challenges, there is no world in which the Constitution tolerates color-coded executive edicts that reopen liquor stores and bike shops, but shutter churches, synagogues, and mosques." Behind me, you will see displayed images of Democrat hypocrisy playing on loop. These images depict the following. They show Governor Gavin Newsom of California dining both maskless and indoors at the fancy French Laundry restaurant despite severe lockdown restrictions against indoor dining for the very people he governs. You'll see Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot celebrating in the non-socially distant streets of her city. You will see Speaker Nancy Pelosi indoors at a hair salon in San Francisco when salons in California were only open for outdoor services. And you will see CNN's Chris Cuomo staging his emergence from quarantine in a made-for-television moment, coming out of the basement, and this was after Cuomo was spotted breaking his brother, Governor Cuomo's, quarantine rules to go for a bike ride in the Hamptons. Also notable is San Francisco Mayor London Breed, who followed Governor Newsom's lead in dining at the French Laundry with a group of 8 people. And finally, Los Angeles County Supervisor Sheila Kuehl dining outdoors at her favorite Santa Monica restaurant after voting to ban outdoor dining at 31,000 restaurants throughout LA, calling outdoor dining a most dangerous situation. Quite clearly, these Democrats do not follow their own edicts. They act in a way that their own citizens are barred from acting. Governor Cuomo's decision to impose restrictions on the size of religious gatherings was rebuked by the highest court in the land. But what was Cuomo's response? Instead of showing deference to the Constitution, he attacked the legitimacy of the court. Governor Cuomo said this, "You have a different court, and I think that was the statement that the court was making. We know who he appointed to the court. We know their ideology." Well, in fact, the ideology of those on the Supreme Court who made the decision to support the First Amendment are in favor of freedom, the Constitution that survives even during a pandemic. This statement from Governor Cuomo strikes at the heart of the issue. Democrats seek control. These images behind me make clear Democrats' mindset. Rules for thee, but not for me. The president stands with you, your freedom, your ability to decide how to best protect your health. We all know how to protect ourselves from COVID-19, wash your hands, socially distance, wear a mask. But as one federal court put it, there is no pandemic exception to the Constitution. And with that, I'll take questions. Welcome back, Kristen. Good to have you back.
Thank you so much. Good to see you. Thank you. Appreciate it. I want to ask you about comments that the Attorney General made to the Associated Press. He said, quote, "To date, we have not seen fraud on a scale that could have affected a different outcome in the election." Given that, why hasn't President Trump conceded?
So first, he went on to say this. It was in an AP interview where he made that initial comment, but in that same AP interview, he went on to say that he thinks a lot of people are confusing the use of the federal criminal justice system with allegations that should be made in civil lawsuits. And he discerned the fact that, he said, quote, "There's a growing tendency to use the criminal justice system as sort of a default fix-all, and the campaigns litigation is all civil litigation, which is apart from something that the DOJ would be involved in."
Follow up with you on that of more than 40 cases that have been brought by the president's legal team. The majority have been denied or dismissed. The election results have been certified in all of the battleground states. Does the president still think he has a path to win?
The president has said that he believes all legal votes should be counted and all illegal votes should not be counted. And in fact, the campaign is pursuing that litigation. I can't get into the details of that litigation here, but they still do have active cases in Nevada and Wisconsin.
But how does he overturn the results when they've already been certified in these battleground states, Kayleigh?
Again, the president is just looking for every legal vote to be counted, and I will leave it to the campaign to pursue their end.
Does he have faith in Attorney General Bill Barr? Does he still have confidence in Bill Barr?
The president, if he has any personnel announcements, will be the first to know it. Yeah. We'll go for Janet.
Thank you. 2 questions. Has the president then spoken to Attorney General Bill Barr since these comments came out yesterday?
I'm not aware if they've spoken. I know the Attorney General was here yesterday for a pre-planned meeting with the Chief of Staff, and they discussed an array of issues, but I'm not aware if the President has spoken to him directly.
Has the President considered any preemptive pardons to any of his kids? Has he talking to Attorney Giuliani about this?
I've heard no mention of any pardons in any conversations I've had in the White House other than the pardon of Lieutenant General Michael Flynn, a 3-star general who I've discussed from this podium before, who had his life ruined. He was a valiant hero who served his country both on the battlefield and then came to work in government. And what happened to him was there was an FBI note that said they wanted to get Lieutenant General Michael Flynn to lie. There then was a criminal leak of his identity in a phone call he had. He was told no lawyers were needed in the discussion the FBI was having with him. FBI investigators then after said they did not think that Lieutenant General Michael Flynn was lying, but yet he was still pursued in an unjust manner, and the government failed to provide the original FBI 302s from that interview. It was an egregious miscarriage of justice, and we're finally glad that justice was served for a war hero, Lieutenant General Michael Flynn. David.
Is the President planning to announce his 2024 candidacy in a formal event here at the White House before January 20th or even on January 20th?
I've not heard any discussions of that. I'm aware of the reporting, but the president's campaign is currently pursuing active litigation, and that is the focus, at least at the moment.
You heard his comments last night. It sounds like he's planning to run again. Do you know if that's a fact?
I haven't spoken to him about that again. His campaign is pursuing litigation. I would redirect you to the campaign. Yeah. Yes.
Mark Meadows has been meeting with Commissioner Hahn. What is being discussed? And also, did the White House get a heads up that the UK was going to be approving the Pfizer vaccine?
I'm not aware of any heads up that we were given, but what I will say about Dr. Hahn is it is par for the course for the Chief of Staff to meet with him as we're trying to save American lives with a vaccine in record time. In fact, 2 vaccines, not only a vaccine in record time. You heard Moncef Slaoui say a vaccine normally takes anywhere from 4 years to 25 years. He said that in an interview last week, and this was in 10 months. It's remarkable progress, but we still want to make sure that it comes as fast, as expeditiously, but as safely as possible, because we know by that each day that passes, there are more American lives at stake. So we want to make sure it comes out as quickly as the data allows it to, and we will have 40 million doses by the end of the year, which is a tremendous achievement, not just to have gotten a vaccine in this time, but to have produced 40 million in advance. It's having a businessman as president. It's the Trump vaccine. Yes, Justin.
Thanks. I had a couple policy things, but first I just wanted to go back to what you said about personnel. Right before the election in a rally, the president suggested that he might fire Dr. Fauci after the vote had happened. And so I was wondering if you could comment on what Dr. Fauci's status is and if you have any.
Yeah, I've heard no discussions of that. Dr. Fauci is still hard at work on the task force.
And then there were 2 things that the president mentioned as policy goals that would happen before the election that we haven't seen any sort of obvious progress on, so I wanted to check in on those. The first is the $200 Medicare prescription drug card that was supposed to happen before the election. It seems to have sort of vanished, so I was wondering if you could give an update on that.
Let me follow up with the Chief of Staff on that. I haven't heard any current discussions about it, but I will follow up with you.
He had also promised an immigration order, an executive order on immigration that would protect dreamers. Again, he promised that before the election. Do you have any updates?
He put forth many different immigration packages on HB1 visas and others to protect American workers. I'll circle back, but there were many iterations of immigration EOs prior to the election.
Is that work progressing at this point, or have you sort of thrown in the towel?
I think right now the focus is making sure that there is stimulus relief for Americans who are hurting right now. So that is the current active policy priority that we are working on moment by moment, along with COVID. Yes. Yes.
Kayleigh, as demonstrated by the large red ribbon out around the White House, yesterday was World AIDS Day. The president issued his proclamation yesterday, but consistent with his previous 3 proclamations, omitted any reference to LGBTQ people, even though they bear the brunt of HIV/AIDS. The president included a reference to racial and ethnic minorities, so why not LGBTQ people?
The president honored World AIDS Day yesterday in a way that no president has before, with the red ribbon there, and I think that he commemorated the day as he should have.
Why there's no reference to LGBTQ people in the
Charlotte.
proclamation? It's not
Charlotte, go ahead.
I wanted to ask about Section 230. Is President Trump willing to allow a government shutdown over that in the National Defense Bill?
The president has made clear the importance of 230, and I would point you to his tweet about how that pertains to the NDAA. One thing I would say, when you look at 230, just to explain for the American public exactly what that is, it's essentially a shield that is given to social media networks because they claim to be the public square. But in the case of Twitter, Twitter has become a publisher, choosing to fact check certain content. And when you're a publisher, there are certain responsibilities with that. You should not be immune from liability. And when you look at what Twitter has done on the Ayatollah Khomeini, we were just looking at his Twitter account before coming out here, and just a few weeks ago, the Ayatollah Khomeini of Iran tweeted, quote, "Why is it a crime to raise doubts about the Holocaust?" Something not worthy of a flag by Twitter, which is despicable when you think about it. Also, the Ayatollah has tweeted that Israel is a deadly, cancerous growth that should be uprooted and destroyed, something that Twitter did not deem worthy of flagging or blocking in its entirety. And in fact, Twitter executives defended that move in front of the Knesset. This is a very important issue, one that there's even bipartisan agreement that something needs to be done. So the president will be unashamed in fighting against that kind of vitriol that we see and very hateful language that Twitter is publishing. Kristen.
Thank you, Kayleigh. Just one more question about Section 230. The Democratic chairman of the House Armed Services Committee, he put out a statement essentially saying that these two things are not related, Section 230 and something as big and important for our national security as the NDAA. So I just want to be clear here, is President Trump seriously considering and talking about vetoing the NDAA over Section 230?
Yes, the president is serious about it, and I noted, when you have other world leaders that are making calls for genocide and Twitter not finding that worthy of flagging or blocking. Beyond that, you look at China, who's putting out disinformation. China tweeted out, I believe it was 6 days ago, I think it was November 25th, that COVID-19 did not originate in Wuhan, something that was not deemed worthy of flagging by Twitter. There are real grave concerns here, and the president stands by that. And it also is worth noting that the president will always defend our military, ensure that we get adequate defense funding, as he's gotten $2.9 trillion so far, but he is going to put the pressure on Congress to step up on this.
And one more question about Attorney General Bill Barr's comments. I believe you said that you're not sure if President Trump and the Attorney General have spoken since he made those comments, was that right?
Yes, I'm not sure if they've spoken.
But can you at least tell me, was President Trump upset when he heard the Attorney General say that he has not seen or the DOJ has not uncovered evidence of widespread voter fraud enough to overturn the outcome of the election?
I haven't spoken with the president specifically about AG Barr or that comment. And I would also just point everyone to the revised, or the supplemental, I should say, not revised, comment that was put out by AG Barr in the wake of media reporting that seemed to misconstrue his statement. He said that some media outlets have, not he, I should say, the DOJ spokesperson, some media outlets have incorrectly reported that the department has concluded its investigation of election fraud and announced an affirmative finding of no fraud, and that is not what the AP reported nor what the AG stated. I think a lot of the media didn't read beyond that one comment to the civil part versus the criminal part.
Well, I think maybe the discrepancy is, you have members of the Trump campaign coming forward and saying that there is hard evidence of widespread voter fraud enough to overturn the outcome of the election, and then you have the nation's top law enforcement officer, the Attorney General, saying if there is, he hasn't seen it.
Well, the Attorney General was speaking to what has come before his desk, and again, I'd point you to the campaign for specific questions on this, but I would just say generally they are pursuing civil litigation, which in fact the Attorney General explicitly said some of this is meant more for civil litigation, which is what the campaign is currently pursuing. Kevin.
Kayleigh, is the president seriously considering skipping the inauguration?
I'll leave that to the president to make his announcement. He tweeted something to the effect of he knows what his decision is and he'll make his decision at the right time.
Rationale could he possibly have for skipping?
I'm not going to speculate on the president's decision. I'll leave that to him to announce it.
Just one follow-up. There was a report yesterday on federal officials investigating a potential bribe for pardon scheme. Has anybody at the White House been questioned by federal law enforcement officials regarding potential bribes for a pardon?
No, and in fact, a DOJ official said yesterday that no government official was or is currently a subject or target of the investigation disclosed in this filing. Yeah, Andrea.
So thanks for my question. I wanted to ask about FBI Director Wray. Though it looks like President-elect Biden wants to keep him in the job, does that change the president's perspective on FBI Director Wray, and does he retain full confidence in him? No, I have just a quick follow-up.
Yeah, he's made no assessments, and at least in my presence, about that. And if we have any personnel announcements, we'll let you know.
Okay, great. Can I just follow up on the vaccine issue? You said 40 million doses. I recall the president saying, and perhaps even you saying, that you were looking for 100 million doses by the end of the year. That 40 million is quite a bit short. So can you just clarify that number?
So there are currently 6 vaccines that we have identified as vaccines that we were hopeful would come to fruition. And with several of those, if not each of them, I can follow up with you on the exact number. We have manufacturing contracts. So we have manufactured doses with several of these, but they have to come to completion. So with each new vaccine that comes, along with that will come millions and millions of doses that have already been manufactured in time. But currently, of the 4 vaccines in phase 3 clinical trial, Moderna, Pfizer, AstraZeneca, and Janssen, 2 of those have gotten to the point of applying for an EUA. So really, it's incumbent on the manufacturer and those going through the phase 3 clinical trial to get that data to us, and then it's manufactured and ready to go. So the moment someone else gets to a 94% effectiveness rate or whatever the barometer is, we will have those doses. Yes. Yes.
Thanks, Kayleigh. I have just 2 quick questions, if I could. Georgia officials have said election workers there are facing threats because of the president's false claims about winning the state and his rhetoric about the election. Does the president condemn threats against election workers, or does he take any responsibility for those threats?
We condemn any threats against anyone. There's no place for violence. What I will say, though, too, is that the president's lawyers, they were doxxed by a left organization. Their private information put out, so we're seeing that happen to people on both sides of the argument, and there's no place for that ever anywhere.
And then just real quick, the CDC director today said that the next few months could be among the worst public health months in American history. I wonder, does the White House, is it setting a good example for the public for the White House to be holding in-person holiday parties at a time when the CDC and other organizations are asking Americans to forego those kinds of celebrations for their own safety?
Yeah, so, if you can loot businesses, burn down buildings, engage in protest, you can also go to a Christmas party. You can celebrate the holiday of Christmas, and you can do it responsibly, which is why the East Wing has noted that they'll have smaller guest lists, masks are going to be available, social distancing is going to be encouraged, hand sanitizing stations, among other measures. But we will engage in the celebration of Christmas, and there will be a Hanukkah celebration as well. Yes. Yes, Meredith.
Thanks. Does President Trump, has he had any kind of conversations with allies on Capitol Hill about challenging Joe Biden's electoral college votes with Congress? We saw one of his allies today said he plans to do that. Is that a conversation that the president's had at all?
Not that I'm aware of. Ines?
Oh, yes. The White House Coronavirus Task Force is privately telling governors that Americans under the age of 40 who gathered with people outside their households at Thanksgiving are dangerous to others and should isolate immediately. Why is the White House not publicly sharing that same information with Americans?
You said that was in a, what document was that?
The White House Coronavirus Task Force is privately telling governors.
That those at Thanksgiving celebrations there's CDC guidance out there as to when you should and should not isolate, so I would point you to that. That's all been publicly available since the beginning of all of this. Christian.
Yeah, thanks, Kayleigh. So if some version of the defense authorization makes it to the president's desk with language that terminates Section 230, would he sign it into law, even if there's language in there that renames bases bearing Confederate, names or named after Confederate officials?
Yeah, he's said before he's very much against the Warren Amendment, and public polling is with him on that. How that intersects with the 230 tweet, I will have to follow up with him about. I don't know if that position has changed, given what he tweeted recently, but I will follow up on that.
And then on China,
yes.
Joe Biden told the Times that he doesn't want to roll back the China tariffs or the Phase 1 trade deal. Do you know if the president plans on reaching out to Mr. Biden to talk about, China trade, since it's been such a hot policy issue, or any other policy really, before January 20th?
I'm not aware of any plans of that at the moment, but if I do, I'll let you know. Yeah, Meredith.
You gave some examples of, lawmakers who've been talking about COVID, but I am curious, where has President Trump been in offering public leadership on this topic of the coronavirus, especially as we've seen cases surge? We haven't seen the president make any sort of public comments or even tweets about this surge in cases. So I'm curious what sort of examples you have.
Yeah, quite a bit. I mean, he's created the greatest testing system in the world. He gave a press conference about 2 weeks ago, I believe, on the vaccine, which he has done at warp speed because he's torn down bureaucratic barriers. He's been hard at work. He's done, I don't know how many coronavirus task force briefings from this podium, but the work he's done speaks for itself. The fact that now the case fatality rate in this country is 2%. It was 6% in April, and what that means is it's a testament to our therapeutics. Another thing that happened recently, in fact, mid-November, got almost no attention, but it's again a testament to the president, is the two new therapeutics. They are renditions of, one is a monoclonal antibody, another one is a Regeneron therapeutic, and these two therapeutics are given to people with mild to moderate COVID symptoms that are at high risk for severe COVID or hospitalization. So the fact that we've got to the point where we now have therapeutics we can give you in advance to try to prevent you from going to a hospital, and we've sent out 169,000 vials of one and 36,000 vials of another just in a few weeks. He's hard at work at this with the task force behind the scenes. And when we talk about his public leadership, just on COVID generally, I think it's a fitting time, given your question, to note Dr. Fauci now says that we should keep the schools open. He said that this Sunday. This is something the president has said for months. It caused me to go back to July and look at one of my briefing books from July 16th, 2020. And what I found in there was this. The science was always on our side about keeping schools open way back in July. It's being acknowledged now, but in July you had Dr. Redfield saying, unlike flu, kids are not driving the transmission cycle. You had Dr. Atlas, who's been a leading voice on keeping the schools open, saying everyone else in the Western world, our peer nations are doing it. We can do it. This was back in July. We had a study from the Netherlands about few reports of infections from schools that had stayed open. This was back in July. You had a Yale School of Public Health professor named Albert Coe saying that the bottom line is the impacts of COVID-19 on children is minimal or very low compared to other groups. There was a Lancet quote to that same effect. This was back in July when the president was saying, keep the schools open. I'm looking at the science. It's detrimental to keep kids out of school. But what were Democrats saying? When the president was following the science, here's what Democrats were saying. You had Governor Gavin Newsom say this, I'm not taking pressure from Trump on opening schools. You had Governor Cuomo saying it's not up to the president about opening schools as schools were shut down. You had Mayor de Blasio, who interestingly reversed himself this week, and now kids can go back to school. But back in July, when the science was on our side, he was saying what we won't do is ignore the science and recklessly charge ahead like our president, who was always following the science. You had Jennifer Rubin tweeting that now he wants to kill your kids. I'm not sure how that's responsible reporting. And then you had Anderson Cooper saying that he actually just doesn't care about kids at all, nor the health of their teachers and parents. And you had the American Federation of Teachers and the National Education Association railing against the president as well. The president's followed the science. He's also kept in mind we have a constitution, and he will be unashamed and always advocating for the science and the best interests of the children of this country. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much. Today it's my privilege to present our nation's highest civilian honor, the Presidential Medal of Freedom, to one of the greatest coaches in American history. The legendary Lou Holtz, a friend of mine, great gentleman, great man. We're delighted to be joined this afternoon by members of Lou's wonderful family, along with the Director of National Intelligence, John Ratcliffe. John, thank you for being here. And Senator Lindsey Graham, who I think most people know. I would say they know you for the most part. And Pat Cipollone, a big fan of Notre Dame, right? Thank you, Pat, for being here. Lou was born during the Great Depression in the steel town of Falansby, West Virginia. We love West Virginia. He grew up in poverty in a two-room cellar. But as Lou says, I knew God and my family loved me, and their love was all the wealth I needed. That's everything I needed. That's all I wanted. As a child, Lou sat in his uncle and grandfather's lap and listened to Notre Dame football games on the radio. They were big fans of Notre Dame, I guess, even before you. That wasn't too long ago, was it? They were big fans, and so he learned at an early age about Notre Dame. At the age of 9, he took the field in his first game. He then played throughout high school, and Lou went on to attend Kent State, where he did very well on an ROTC scholarship. After graduation, Lou served as an officer in the United States Army and then pursued his dream of coaching. He wanted to be a coach right from the beginning because he knew he was a leader. He didn't have to say it. He knew he was a leader. In 1961, Lou made what he described as the smartest decision of my life. And I knew your wife, and I will tell you, that was your smartest decision, right? You got to know her well. She was strong and good. He married his wife of 59 years. Beth passed away just a short while ago, and it was a very tough time. I will tell you, it was a very tough time for Lou and the family, but we know that she's looking down from heaven right now with incredible pride. She's so proud of this man. I got to know her over the last few years, and she was a great woman, but she's looking down right now. She's very proud of you, Lou. In 1969, Lou became head coach of William and Mary, and over 3 seasons, he won the Southern Conference and led the Tribe to their first bowl game in 22 years. And by the way, and I have to tell you, when we were researching this out, I knew he was supposed to be a good coach, but I didn't know how good he was because these stats are very amazing. You'll see. I was really very impressed, John. I will tell you. Lou then became head coach of North Carolina State, which had won only 9 games over the previous 3 years. Not too good. He took it over, and under Coach Holtz, they won the ACC title and achieved the highest national ranking in NC State's history. Lou went on to coach, and so I guess you were making a lot of money by this time because they were trying to get him to go to all these different schools. He was a hot coach. Nothing like being hot, right? He had his choice. He had his choice of going to a lot of different places. Lou went on to coach at the University of Arkansas. He built the Razorbacks up from a 5-5 record into a top 5 team in the nation. They won everything. Lou left Arkansas with the best win-loss record ever and a very fat bank account. He then coached at the University of, you were making a lot of money all of a sudden, huh? I know how that works. He then coached at the University of Minnesota, which was ranked dead last in the Big Ten. Before he signed his contract, he prayed, and then he did something that was unprecedented. He inserted a clause with great negotiation talent, which he has, and they call today the Notre Dame clause. It stipulated that if Lou did really well and went to a bowl game, he would be free to go to Notre Dame should they ask him to go. So he had something going, right? You great football player, you are some player, I tell you. You are something. You and you weigh about 30 pounds less than you weighed when you played in the NFL, right? I'm very impressed. In just 2 years, he secured a top 20 ranking and propelled the Golden Gophers to victory at the Independence Bowl. So he was on his way to Notre Dame. He knew it, nobody else did. I guess the Notre Dame officials knew it. He was offered a coaching job at Notre Dame immediately, and he also took it immediately, as much as he loved the team that he just left. When he became the head coach a year later, the Fighting Irish were a losing team. They were doing very, very poorly. Lou got to work and quickly returned Notre Dame to the status of a football powerhouse and the legend that they were. At the end of Lou's first season, the team faced off against their arch rivals, the University of Southern California Trojans. The Fighting Irish were down 17 points in the fourth quarter, but they soon pulled off Notre Dame, one of the greatest comebacks in college football history. They scored 2 touchdowns in less than 8 minutes and then kicked a field goal in the final 2 seconds of the game. At that moment, Holtz said he felt the spirit of Notre Dame. He loved Notre Dame. And do you still remember that game?
Oh, very good. My son roughed the punter.
No, I can't. You weren't too happy about that.
Oh, no. I understood why certain species of animals devour their young.
So your son has a little of you in him, that's what happened. For the next decade, the Fighting Irish won 80% of their games and went to 9 consecutive New Year's Day bowls. And in 1988, cover of Sports Illustrated said, Notre Dame is back. Notre Dame is back. He was on the cover of Sports Illustrated and many other covers. Notre Dame remained #1 in the country for the longest stretch in the school's history. See, I didn't know all this stuff. I knew you were a great coach. I didn't know you were this good, to be honest with you. This is beyond a great coach. So you had the longest streak in the history of Notre Dame at #1. What do you think about that, Lindsay? Sounds like you in the Senate.
Yeah.
So we don't he had an easy race. You know, he had an easy race. The problem was his opponent had $140 million. That was a record, I guess, wasn't it, huh? Guess what? Here's Lindsay. During the tenure at Notre Dame, Lou coached a record number of games, secured 100 victories, and delivered Notre Dame's most recent national championship. So he did some job at Notre Dame. Then Lou became the head coach at the University of South Carolina, which he loves. He loves South Carolina, which had won only 1 bowl game in 108 years. He was going to take it easy, and then he gets another offer. Man, oh man, I'm watching that money just pile up. He was going to go and just relax now. He did his thing at Notre Dame. He won national championships, the longest streak. Then he goes to the University of South Carolina, and I can imagine why. He loves, you do like money a little bit, don't you? He was offered a big deal. Lou tripled that number and secured a top 20 ranking immediately. Over the course of his career, Lou won nearly 250 games and is one of the highest ever, by the way, and is the only coach in NCAA history to take 6 different teams to a bowl game. Think of that. Wherever Lou went, football glory followed. He was inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame in 2008. And I will say this about Lou, everybody loves him. Everybody respects him. He's tough as hell, and yet they all respect Lou. They just, it's amazing. They love him and they respect him. Sometimes it's a combination that doesn't come together. You know, they respect, but you are something. I never coached football. I coached life, he said, and it's true. His players really always loved him. He's turned his inspirational story and motivational message into 3 best-selling books. He's also been an exceptional philanthropist. That's all that stuff that he collected. He's opened educational opportunities for students, provided insulin pumps to diabetic children, and we've just brought down the price and the cost of insulin, right? You're shaking your head. It's amazing what we did, right? Insulin, you couldn't buy it. It was destroying families. People were going without it. Now it's $35, right? You can't believe it. I see you're an insulin pro. You're involved, right? Family. That's great. Now it's we've done a great job with costs, but insulin, maybe Lindsay is one of the best. $35. They were paying 10 times that amount. You couldn't get it. So we changed that around, Lou. And supported cancer research and has traveled to 13 countries to visit the American troops. Lou's leadership and his faith and kindness have inspired and uplifted millions of fellow citizens. He's one of the greatest titans in American football history, and his towering reputation will endure forever in the chronicles of athletics, but more importantly in the chronicles of life, because he's really a life teacher. That's what he is. He's a life teacher He teaches people how to live and how to live properly and how to live with dignity. So I'd like to now ask the military aide to come forward and prepare for me to give our highest medal. We have the Congressional Medal of Honor and we have the Presidential Medal of Freedom. And I will say I give away a lot of Congressional Medal of Honors, and that's a tough one to get, you know? That's a tough one to get because they come in with, when they come in, a lot of times, mostly they can't come in for obvious reasons, but they come in with, they're unbelievably brave people, and they have had more bullet holes and bullets shot at them and in them. That's a Congressional Medal of Honor. Your route is a much easier one. As tough as it may have been, it's a much easier one. I always say that about the two.
I'll remember that.
It's your route is a much easier, the Presidential Medal of Freedom. So I'd like to ask first Lou to say a few words, and then we're going to present. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm humbled by the various comments and the opportunity to receive this award. But I want to assure you how proud I am, not only to receive the award, I'm even prouder to receive it from President Donald Trump, who I think was the greatest president during my lifetime, and the things you've done for this country, giving people the opportunity. As far as I do have to correct one thing, Mr. President. You talk about making money. When I went to Notre Dame, they had a policy. The head football coach was not allowed to make more than the president of Notre Dame. And the president of Notre Dame was a priest that took a vow of poverty. I made $95,000. I get this award. I accept it humbly. And you don't go in life saying, I want to win this award. You just wake up one day and it happens. But this award, as great as it is, does not define who Lou Holtz is. My beautiful family, my precious wife, my friends, you have determined who I am, and I just try to be a solid person. As I think it was said, the two most important days in your life, one's the day you're born, the other's the day you discover why you're born. And when we discover we're born basically to help other people and overcome problems and difficulties that are going to come our way. And I just could not be prouder to be part of this country. I could not be prouder to receive this award from an individual I respect and admire as much as President Trump.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's so nice. Thank you very much.
Attention to orders. Louis L. Holtz, an American sports legend, is awarded the Medal of Freedom. A member of the College Football Hall of Fame, Coach Holtz's achievements include 249 wins, 12 bowl game victories, and a national championship. He is the only football coach to lead 6 different programs to bowl games. His tenure at Notre Dame was historic, securing 10 straight winning seasons and the 1988 national championship. Off the field, he's a staple of sports television, a powerful motivational speaker, a devout Catholic, and a dedicated philanthropist. The United States proudly honors Louis L. Holtz for his contributions to our nation. Signed, Donald J. Trump, the President of the United States of America.
Congratulations. How are you feeling?
I feel so indebted to so many people in my life that had such a positive influence on it. For a guy who graduated in the lower third of his high school class, I feel fortunate to be able to be here, but also to be part of this great country and to be next to an individual that I respect as much as him. So I say that you've honored a lot of people. You go look at all the people and Tiger Woods and Jack Nicklaus. They recognized for what they did. I'm recognized for what other people did. I never made a block or tackle, but I did try to teach people to make good choices. That's all I've ever tried to do. Thank you.
Such a great statement. Thank you very
Mr.
much.
President, Mitch McConnell says COVID relief may be in sight. Will you support this bill? Do you support
I will,
the
and I
$900
think they're
billion?
getting very close, and I want it to happen, and I believe that they're getting very close to a deal. Yeah.
And you'll support it?
I will, absolutely.
Okay. Mr. President, can I ask you to respond to the comments by your Attorney General who indicated he has not seen at this point any evidence of fraud enough to overturn the election results? Given that, why is now not the time to concede?
Well, he hasn't done anything, so he hasn't looked. When he looks, he'll see the kind of evidence that right now you're seeing in the Georgia Senate. You know, they're going through hearings right now in Georgia, and they're finding tremendous volumes. So they haven't looked very hard, which is a disappointment, to be honest with you, because it's massive fraud. Whether you go to Wisconsin, where we just filed a case, or Michigan, or if you look at what's happening in Georgia, as an example, or Pennsylvania, if you look at Nevada, which is moving along very rapidly, or Arizona, you saw those numbers come out yesterday. We found massive fraud, and in other states also. This is probably the most fraudulent election that anyone's ever seen.
Do you still have confidence in Bill Barr?
Ask me that in a number of weeks from now. They should be looking at all of this fraud. This is not civil. He thought it was civil. This is not civil. This is criminal stuff. This is very bad criminal stuff. So I just say this. We went through an election. At 10 o'clock, everybody said that was an easy victory for Trump. All of a sudden, the votes started disappearing, miraculously disappearing. We found much of it, but we found far more votes than we need in almost all of these states. And I think I can say in all of these states, far more votes than we need to win every one of them. And I want to just thank my team, because my team is doing an unbelievable job. And more importantly, I want to thank the 74 million plus people that voted, which, Lou, is the largest amount of people that a sitting president has ever had, 74 million plus. And because the level of loyalty, I've never seen anything like it. All over the country, they know it was a fixed election. It was a rigged election. They know it, and I appreciate their support. Thank you all very much.